Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 5. We will present about Islamic Exchange Traded Funds MyETF-DJIM25 Islamic Market Malaysia Titans 25. Our group members consist of Nurafifah binti Mohd Nasir, Nurul Nadiah binti Noordin, Noor Rusyafikah binti Rusli, and Baizura binti Zulkifli.
Exchange Traded Fund (ETF) is a revolutionary financial product that combines the greatest attributes of open-ended funds and listed stocks. To put it simply, an ETF is a unit trust that is listed and traded on a stock exchange. Islamic Exchange Traded Fund is an Islamic mutual fund product that takes the form of a collective investment contract with participation units that are traded on the stock exchange, identical to a stock transaction. MyETFs, similar to stocks, can be purchased and sold through stockbrokers. There are currently 6 MyETFs listed and traded on the exchange, such as MyETF-DJIM25 Islamic Market Malaysia Titans 25, MyETF-DJIM US Titans 50, MyETF-MSCI Malaysia Islamic Dividend, MyETF-MSCIC Islamic Dividend, MyETF Thomson Reuters Asia Pacific as Japan Islamic Agribusiness, and lastly Trade Plus Sharia Gold Tracker.
Next, features of the instrument. ETF or Exchange Traded Fund is a basket of securities such as stock or bond that are held in a single fund that is bought or sold on an exchange. ETF typically track a specific index, sector and commodity. So, there are some features of ETF that making them a unique investment structure. The first one is diversification. An index ETF might contain hundreds, even thousands of security, providing broad diversification that can help offset the risk associated with any security or market sector. So, if a single stock gains or loses substantial value, the overall effect on the ETF may be rather small given the price movement of other stocks in the portfolio. Another feature is low cost. ETF can be a cost-effective way to invest. ETF generally have lower management expense ratio than mutual fund, but investors may pay a brokerage commission each time they buy or sell an ETF. A third feature is flexibility. Because ETF can provide broad exposure to different asset classes or market sector, they offer a flexible way to build a new portfolio or restructure an existing one. Last but not least, the feature of ETF is transparency. ETF disclose all the portfolio's holding on a daily basis, allowing investors to know exactly what they own, so that investors can regularly review the holdings simply by downloading the daily portfolio holding statement from the issuer website. Next, Sharia principle used in the instrument. ETF are open-ended index tracking funds or trusts according to the Bursa website. They track indices, commodities or asset basket in the same way that open-ended investment funds do, but they are listed and traded on a stock exchange in real time. With the exception of Islamic financial institution, Islamic ETF adhere to Sharia principle and avoid investing in anything related to gambling, alcohol, entertainment, non-halal food, tobacco and conventional financial services. To be Sharia compliant, an ETF can only invest in Sharia compliant financial instruments such as equities and fixed income instruments such as sukuk or other Islamic financial instruments approved by the authorities. Next, an Islamic ETF can be managed through the contract of wakalah. A representative or al-wakil cannot be involved in any activity that is against the guideline determined in the trust deed. Second, mudarabah. As far as al-mudarabah is concerned, the agreement is between at least two parties, one being a lender or sometimes known as an investor and the other one is entrepreneur. This means the entrepreneur must generate profit by joining profitable business using the fund lent by the investor. The Sunnah narrates that the Rasulullah SAW made Hakim ibn Huzam or Urwah al-Barikhi as a representative in purchasing sheep for the Qurban.
Next, I will continue with comparison between MyETF-DJIM Islamic Market Malaysia Titans 25, which is MyETF-DJIM25 with conventional ETF. The main difference between a DJIM25 and conventional ETF is the benchmark index. The benchmark index for DJIM25 index tracks only Sharia compliant index. So, Sharia Board oversees the operation of NIETF, and a team of advisors regularly audits the process to maintain best standard. In contrast to conventional ETF, which are allowed to track any desired benchmark index regardless of the Sharia status of the component equities. Conventional ETF are invested in non-Sharia compliant financial instruments such as swaps, financial and unlawful beverage producing companies. Besides that is underlying securities. DJIM25 index only holds Sharia compliant securities as approved by the Sharia advisor. It is different from conventional ETF, which is whole securities includes in the securities or stocks universe of the index and of the manager. For example, bond ETF are non-Sharia compliant asset as the debt security is essentially a loan with interest. Furthermore, securities lending. For the IETF, the lenders earn a fee which is a returns on the reinvestment of cash collateral as consideration for the loan of the securities. In contrast to conventional ETF, which is the lenders receive cash collateral, they do not just sit on it only, but they put it into the money market securities to earn some small amount of interest on the cash. Last but not least, diversified exposure. For the IETF, through one unit of IETF, investors get immediate exposure to the companies that constitute the tracked index. In contrast to conventional ETF, which is less diversification because they incorporate hundreds or even thousands of assets within and across asset classes, many ETF provide diversity.
Explain about the structure. The parties that involved in IETF. First is manager. The manager is required under the DIT, the CMSA, the ETF guidelines and other applicable legislation to administer an Islamic ETF in an efficient and effective manner so that the fund is managed in a compliant with Sharia principle under the guidance of a validly designated Sharia advisor or committee. Sharia advisor or committee. The Sharia advisor or committee, who are Sharia specialists, is chosen by the manager to provide knowledge and assistance to the fund in terms of its structure, investment process, and any Sharia-related problems. Third is the trustee. The trustee is required by the DIT, the CMSA, and the ETF guidelines to act as the custodian for all assets owned by the fund and to protect the holder's interests. Number 4 is participating dealer or liquidity provider. The role of a participating dealer is to execute or facilitate in-kind creation and redemption. Lastly, investment committee. The investment committee's responsibilities and duties include developing and overseeing the manager's adoption of acceptable investment management strategies for the fund, as well as measuring and evaluating the manager's performance. On the stock exchange, investors buy and sell ETF units. The ETF units' liquidity is provided by the liquidity providers. They accomplish this by purchasing excess inventory and offering newer units to meet market demand. When market demand surpasses natural market supply, liquidity providers scatter in-kind creation basket by purchasing underlying securities from the stock exchange, sending the basket of securities to participating dealers and then to the manager or trustee for in-kind creation and the issuance of new ETF units. These brand new units are then placed on the market to meet demand. Whenever there is an oversupply of ETF units on the market, such as when there is a general bad sentiment, liquidity providers will purchase the surplus supply and tender redemption unit lots in exchange for the in-kind redemption basket of securities. These assets are traded on the stock exchange in order to repay the cost of purchasing an excess supply of ETF units. Participating dealers frequently act as a liquidity provider.
Now, we will look at the case study of MyETF-DJIM Islamic Market Malaysia Titan 25. For your information, ETF can be considered as investment product hybrid because it operates like a unit trust, but it trades like a stock. So, investors get the best of both. It is a collective securities, much like unit trust, where a pool of funds is invested in a specific group of assets or a variety of asset classes, including equities, bonds, and commodities. The benchmark index, namely the Dow Jones Islamic Market Malaysia Titan 25, also known as MyETF-DJIM25, operates as an investment fund. MyETF-DJIM25 is managed by IVCAP Management's Nurul Nadiah, was founded in 2008 and is located in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. MyETF-DJIM25 was listed on 31 January 2008 in Bursa Securities Main Market. It is Asia's first Sharia exchange trade funds and the world's third largest Sharia ETF by asset size. The index measures 25 of the largest and the most liquid stock. Other than that, it is a liquid and cost-effective financial instrument for investors seek immediate access to the performance of Malaysian Sharia equity market. In addition, the objective of Dow Jones Islamic Market Indices is to measure the performance of stocks in various markets that are Sharia compliant and meet other criteria depending on the index or market. Regardless on how well it performs, the fund's goal is to closely match the performance of the benchmark index. The fund managers strive to achieve absolute tracking error between the fund net asset value and the benchmark index is less than 3%. Next, for the benchmark index, DJIM25 is a free float adjusted market capitalization which index under the term of license agreement. The index uses weighting, a modified market capitalization method, and the weight are reviewed quarterly.
In conclusion, the IETF segment is one of the most creative and new development to Islamic finance. It is a developing market that, when it is fully developed, is expected to drive growth. Its flexibility, which enables the exploitation of synergistic relationship with current Islamic financial products, is a clear indication of this. Additionally, there is a critical requirement of industry participants to become knowledgeable with IETF. That's all from us. Thank you.